Hello everybody, my name is Mark and this is Why I Hate the World. So as I'm sure you're all aware, this past Saturday there was a horrific terrorist attack in Paris which has left 127 people dead. The attacks came in the form of a combination of shootings and suicide bombings and a conventional bombing, like regular bombings. And a couple of hostage situations as well. And there's currently a state of emergency in France. The borders were closed, and there's a curfew active in Paris for the first time in 50 years, something like that. Famous monuments such as the Eiffel Tower and others have been closed, and so on. I saw apparently on CNN they said that this was the worst example of loss of life in one day in Paris since World War II. And to no one's surprise, the Islamic State has taken responsibility. So, right. So this hits pretty hard to me. This hits pretty close to home for me because I was just there like last month. As some of you may know, I got married recently, and on our honeymoon, my wife and I spent a week in Paris, and I loved it. Okay, it's a wonderful city, and it's filled with history. Just the architecture everywhere is amazing. Just everything's made out of stone, and it's beautiful. Right, you have these entire avenues that are like buildings from the 17th century and everything, and it's incredible. And Napoleonic statues with gold on them and all of this stuff. There's like monuments and statues dating back hundreds of years all over the place, and museums on every block, and it's like the entire city is a work of art. Everything from the huge buildings and architecture and the bridges down to like the little tiny shops and stuff and little restaurants on the side. The whole thing is just beautiful. And that stereotype of the rude, smelly Frenchman, that shit's not true. Okay, that's just a stereotype. All the people we met there were polite and helpful and seemed happy to be there. And I mean, they were a delight to be around. And it really makes my heart kind of hurt to see this kind of thing happen there. To see that somebody would target such a wonderful place and such delightful people. It's just really, I don't know, heartbreaking. It's seriously, right. So right now there's all kinds of there's all kinds of analysis and stuff coming off of the news, and the media and stuff as to what happened and what we should do about it and what we shouldn't do and so on. And there's not really much that I can add personally to that. I can't really add anything that somebody else, who's more intelligent than I am can't say better, right? But what I can say is that I think, we in America should pay attention to this because I think that this is our fault, right? And when I say that, I mean that this is the latest in a chain of events which started with a very bad decision on America's part, and that decision was to invade Iraq in 2003. Okay. Long story short, 2003, Bush invades Iraq, right? He leaves a power vacuum in which ISIS filled, So if you don't know, ISIS was essentially started by a general from the Iraqi army who was, fired right after Iraq surrendered or whatever. They let him go, and he joined with some fundamentalist elements in order to retake Iraq, and it's kind of spiraled out of control from there. It's gone to now it's ISIS is in Syria, and it's just like shit is just hitting the fan all over the place down there, right? And this is partially, this is not partially, this is entirely our fault in the United States. We're the people that caused this, okay? We allowed our political process to get out of hand, and we allowed the president, we allowed a man who got the least amount of votes to become president. And then that man went on to make incredibly bad decisions, right, which started a chain of events which led to this disaster. Okay, that's what happened. I mean, there's no other way you can look at it. Basically, if Bush wouldn't have been elected, this wouldn't have happened today. And half of the bad shit that happened in this last, decade, there would be no ISIS today, right? There would be no Iraq war today, right? Thousands of people would be alive today if the United States would have had its shit together back in 2000, right? That's just, please remember, right, that, if you're scared of crazy fundamentalists that want to, start World War III, please remember that George W. Bush said that God told him to invade Iraq, okay? I'm not making that up, right? That's the absolute truth. George W. Bush said in an interview that he prayed to God and God told him to invade Iraq, okay? So if you're scared of fundamentalist people that want to start wars and kill people, that should scare the living shit out of you, all right? That we allowed somebody like that to be in charge of the most powerful military in the history of mankind, all right? We allowed a man like that to have access to weapons which can literally eradicate civilization. Okay, that should scare the fucking shit out of you, right? And, that should make you want to get out there and vote. Okay, we have a presidential election coming up here this next year. Let's not make that same mistake again, okay? We shouldn't be electing people that have no business, we shouldn't be electing, people like Donald Trump, Ben Carson, fucking all of those, they have no business even being close to the White House. I don't even know why we're even entertaining the idea of these people even being elected. Carly Fiorina, they're morons, and if we elect one of those people, the exact same shit's gonna happen all over again, all right? Anyway, that's a video for another time. So, to all the people in France out there, I just, want to personally, I wish you the best. I wish, I hope that you're able to recover quickly from this tragedy, and I hope your nation is able to heal, from this attack, and I hope that we're able to work together to wipe ISIS from the face of the earth. And to the people here in the United States, just let this be a lesson as to what happens when we elect the wrong people, all right? When the time comes to vote, remember what happened, okay? And let's not allow this to happen again. So, adios.